There was a time when most young people were considered liberal, but that could be changing. A New York Times editorial today says teenagers are growing up in a time when the country is struggling, while a Democrat is in the White House, and could that influence their political leanings? It says, quote, "To Americans in their 20s and early 30s, the so-called millennials, many of these problems have their roots in the George W. Bush presidency. But think about people who were born in 1998, the youngest eligible voters for the next presidential election. They are too young to remember much about Bush's years and the excitement surrounding the first Obama presidential campaign. So they, instead, are coming of age with a Democratic president who has trouble fixing the world's problems, or is unable to do so." Yeah.
It's
what do you think?
Well, I think that's really wishful thinking, Stacey. I would love to believe the language that they use, that young people may grow up and may be more conservative. But I think it's so hard because the culture around these young kids, I mean, you know, you live in LA, the movies, the music, it all pushes from a liberal perspective. It's almost like the oxygen that you breathe. So I do think it's going to be very tough for these kids to grow up conservative. However, the more they start to work, the more they start to make money. That's if they do. If they do start to get jobs, because we do see millennials struggling right now.
But it's about the 10-year-olds right now, and it's if that's the age we're talking about. And a 10-year-old might be at home listening to their parents struggle. They might be out of work. Their parents might be still trying to pay off student loans that have mounted to record highs in recent years. They might see those struggles, and Pete start to think like, you know, might just hear their parents talk more conservative ways.
They might, or they might be playing Mario Brothers like I was when I was 10. I mean, I don't know how much I was conscious at 10. I mean, you get older, you think back on it maybe a little bit. I think in New York or in LA, there's this feeling that everyone around you is liberal. And you go in, I live in Minnesota, and you know, there isn't this automatic assumption that it's a default when you're young, you're liberal. There's a lot of conservative families who are reinforcing values that this administration is undercutting. So I do think, rather than the traditional narrative of when you're young, you're liberal, and then when you pay taxes, you become a conservative, there are trend lines in this article that show that there are generations, there are waves of people, you know, Roosevelt Democrats, JFK Democrats, Reagan Republicans. There could be a reaction to this particular administration if it goes on and lasts long enough amongst young people that say, big government solutions just aren't the answer.
But if you're dependent on the government, if more and more people are getting checks from the government, do you know how hard it is to break that as a family? Yeah. Younger people are not going to see it as bad. They're going to see the Obama policies that gave them a check, that got them through a hard time, and not see why that's wrong.
Or not have any opinion about it. I think it's something else. You know, I watched in-circuit satellite coming from the Hobby Lobby outside the courthouse, waiting for the ruling outside the Supreme Court. There were a lot of women in those groups who were picketing and hoping that the ruling that happened with Hobby Lobby, and they had their little children with them. I think that when you struggle as a country, we love the underdog. And I think Republicans sometimes are painted as the underdog. They take the underdog view on things. They're the counter view right now, at least for the last however many years that we've had the same president. So I do see that there is a reaction to that. And the age group that we're talking about is going to come of age in the next few years, having watched that happen. And so it'll be interesting to see them go to the polls. How much of being at mom's side on that critical day when there was a supposed war on women and mom was fighting, you know, for the Hobby Lobby, and you see those young faces, they'll vote in a few years.
Yeah, but I'll tell you what's happening in a lot of households. The parents are getting Obamacare subsidies for health care that's costing them $15 a month. Then the Republican comes in and tries to say, you know what, we're going to take that away from you. Good luck with that. I'm telling you, it's very seductive to give people things, and that's going to be generationally very hard to stop.
Well, having children, my son is going to be 24 on Friday. Happy birthday, baby.
I still don't believe that. I've got a DNA check here.
He is now a conservative, and he says to me, Mom, most of my friends are conservative. We're capitalists. We want to keep our money. And my 11-year-old is a conservative as well, because she has traditions. You know, there are things that she believes in that I hope I've had some input on. And, you know, she has referred to the president as Gollum. And I think that's very clever for an 11-year-old.
What'll happen, what really will determine this is how Republicans rebound. Who do they elect in 2016? Can they elect someone that rebounds from this dip?
I just think they have an opinion. I think it's good that they think about it now.
Start thinking now.